Hi, welcome back to this episode of the Build the Millennium Falcon, where we guide you through issue 12, 13, 14, and 15. In issue 12, you will get the hull exterior parts, hull frames, and as well as the internal details. As you can see from the manual, we are actually building the assembly of the bottom frames in issue 12. So you will actually need most of the previous issues metal frames. Once you've gathered most of the hull frames, you will need to assemble it in such way according to the manual. Next, you will need to fasten the hull frames by using the screws to join the parts together. So I believe you have actually received many different types of screws from your past issues. What I do is actually I put into a medical peel box that you can easily sort it out from there, and then you can just put a layer of masking tape and label them so that you will not be confused which type of screw to use. All the hull frames comes with a code, so when you look at your manual you will be able to differentiate which part, like this is BF10, and the next thing you need to do is to use the inner radial ribs to join the parts together. Once you've completed fastening the inner radial ribs, you need to actually join the second part of the ribs. Okay, once you have fastened both inner radial ribs, so the next step is to get the connector. So this connector you will need a 4 brass screw to fasten it so that you can get a more sturdier structure from there. The next thing is to continue with the assembly, which is to screw in the bottom parts of the other two inner frame. When you're done with the frame, you will notice there's actually a gap and also this recess of a rectangle shaped area. So this is an area where you will require to use these 2 rectangle metal plates to join them together. Okay, once you're done with the 2 rectangle metal plates, the next step is to repeat same process of assembling the 2 inner radial ribs together so that it will be used to join the other parts of the hull frames. Here we are completing issue 12. Basically issue 12 is to build most of the parts of the hull frames, and in the later issue you will still be doing the hull frames and also assembling the hull exterior, just as is shown in this video. At the moment I'm not screwing in or fastening it yet because there are more parts to be assembled. Next we have issue 13. So in issue 13 we are focusing more on the internal parts where the assembly of the whole walls. So in the manual you can see you will need to lay out most of the parts from the past issues. First part is to get the walls up by joining it to the base, and after you have actually fastened the wall, then you actually have to turn the base to look at the bottom part, as there are areas that you need to fasten it using the screws. After you have fastened the walls together, the next is to put in the pipe support. So this is part of the pipe support where you still need to attach it with the screw. Okay, once that is done, The next focus is to assemble one of the pipes into this technical station. Over here you will require to use the cutter to cut off parts of the pipes. There are actually two pipes here. One is for the technical station, the other one is for the one behind the seat. The fitting of the pipe here is not so well secured. It's not just snap fit. Here requires you to use a little bit of the glue. In this episode I'm actually using a cement glue. A cement glue is less harmful and is easier to use and less messy compared to the super glue, which most of the time you get your fingers stick together, So a cement glue actually melts both plastics together, and then you just use your hand to hold on to it or press it together until it dries, and it dries very fast. Next we will put in the smaller pipes together, and in this part we will require a frame-like panel which you assemble it like that. There are tiny holes on the floor which you just put this frame to secure the pipes, but the frame doesn't secure the properly. You will require to use a bit of the cement glue to fasten it. Once you've assembled the last piece of the panel support for the smaller pipes, so it's time to put in the bigger pipes. For the bigger pipes, there is a color so-called marking on the pipes. So as you can see, the first pipe that goes in is the one with the black and yellow stripe, and then the next one is the orange and black stripe. So you can see at the end of the wall there is a guide for it to properly fit the pipe together. The final part of assembling the wall in this issue is you have to cut these small tiny little plastic rivets to join the walls together. Of course, here requires a little bit of cement glue as well. Here we have issue 14. So in issue 14 we will still continue to build the hole, and this is the final part of the hole where you are building the whole door openings. As you can see, the whole door openings is very similar to the past issues where you have to assemble the inner door liner and outer door liner, and this is the final part of the wall. And of course we have all the tiny door pads to assemble again, so this will require the cutter to cut off all the door pads from the sprue. Well, for the door pads there is a little bit of trimming of the excess parts after you have cut off from the sprue. What I did was to use just a simple cutter or blades to trim off those excess parts. As you can see here, the difference between cutting and without cutting the excess parts. Next is to assemble the circuitry bay door. So this requires a little bit of the cement glue as well. So over here I put a little bit of cement glue by the sides, and to assemble the outer door liner. And the inner door liner is a bit tricky, where you are required to use your fingers to pry open because it doesn't fit nicely over there. And I put a little bit more cement glue on it to fasten the areas. Finally, you have the final part of the whole door openings that you can assemble into the hole. Here it requires you also to put in a bit of effort to snap fit the areas of the wall into the floor. And we are almost done here. The last part will be to fasten the hole with the screws. So once you have done that, then you have completed all the issues for the hole itself. Alright, we have come to the final issue for this episode, which is issue 15. As you can see from the manual, this issue will be a rather simple build because it focuses only on the bottom frames, which is 3 parts of the metal frame. And of course, there are some radial assembly of the radial ribs and putting together the hull plating. As you can see, the frames are numbered. What I did was to make it more obvious, because when I want to assemble it, I will actually use a marker to highlight so that I can see the numbers on it. These are the frames that we have assembled in the previous issue. So I'm turning it over to assemble the rest of the parts of the inner frame. There's another radial ribs that needs to be assembled. Well, it's the same, putting in the connector and fitting in the screws. Okay, we have completed issue 15, which is part of the lower hull frames. This is how the lower hull frames will look like. Next is to put in the hull plating. This is how it will fit into the frames. Of course, when you actually trying to put it in, you need to align it to the holes of the metal frame. This will be the area where you will put in the screws. But before that, we just assemble it in a way that to see how the whole lower bottom frames looks like. Thank you for watching this episode, and if you have any comments, please do leave it at the comment section. Thank you.